Hello friends, in this video I want to discuss about the next topic in the electrostatic, that is electric field. So electric field is a region of space around a charge or a system of charges within which other charged particles experience electrostatic force. Means it is a region in which its electrostatic force is experienced by other charges. So theoretically electric field extends up to infinity, but practically it is limited to a certain distance. Here we take the infinity is the point at which the force exerted by a source charge is not acting on any other charges. That place or point region is called infinity. So electric field strength, electric field intensity, or simply we call it as electric field, it is noted by symbol E. It is defined at a certain point, it is defined as electrostatic force per unit positive charge acting on vanishingly small positive test charge placed at that point. It means in order to check the electric field of a source charge, we have to place a very small test charge around it. So mathematically, if we say if plus Q is the source charge and plus Q naught is the test charge placed near it to determine the strength of electric field of source charge, then we have to check what is the force experienced on the test charge. Say F is the force experienced, we know Coulomb's force, we can calculate it. Similarly, if the charge is source charge is a negative charge, in the first case the source charge is positive charge, the force is repulsion force acting outward. In the second case, we take the source charge is negative charge, then the force acting on test charge is attractive in nature, that is towards the charge. So how much electrostatic force acting per unit test charge? That is defined as electric field intensity or electric field strength. So simply we call it is E is equal to F on Q naught. And some books it's also written as limit delta Q tends to 0 F divided by delta Q. Now limit delta Q tends to 0 means Q test charge or Q naught is very small. So in simple way we can write in this way. E is equal to F divided by Q naught. Or force experience, that is according to Coulomb's law, by the test charge due to the source charge, that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q naught divided by R square divided by Q naught. तो Q naught कैंसिल हो जाएगा यहाँ से. E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square. R unit vector that gives the direction of electric field, and electric field direction is same the direction of electrostatic force acting on test charge. The test charge is considered is small because its presence should not alter the configuration of the charge, and thus the electric field which is intended to be measured. Now there are certain points we have to note that. First point, since Q naught is taken positive, the direction of electric field is always along the direction of electrostatic force. Second point, electrostatic force on a negatively charged particle will be opposite to the direction of electric field. If it is a negative charged particle, its electrostatic force is opposite to the direction of electric field. Third point, electric field is a vector quantity, that means whose magnitude as well as direction at a certain point. And the fourth point, SI unit of electric field is, it's a force per unit charge, so the SI unit is Newton per Coulomb. Now next slide, let's discuss how to calculate the electric field due to a point charge at a certain distance. So we take a charge plus Q in the 3 coordinate system. Let we take a point P has coordinates x, y, z. Here we have to calculate the electric field. So we placed a very small test charge Q naught at the point P, and let F is the electrostatic force acting on this test charge due to the source charge Q, which is at a distance R. So R vector, we take the position vector. Then if we calculate the force experienced on Q naught by the Q, that is F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q naught divided by R square. R unit vector gives the direction of force. So we can also write in the another form, if R unit vector is replaced by R vector, so R vector divided by R, so R is multiplied, so it becomes RQ. So in both ways we can write the Coulomb force acting on it. Now electric field strength, we know the formula E is equal to F divided by Q naught. So put the value of F here. Now if we put the value, we get E is equal to Q 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R cube R unit R vector. If it is R square, then it is a R unit vector. So it depends upon you. You can write in both way. Either it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square R unit vector, and that is the simplest way to write the electric field due to a point charge at a certain point. And next, you also remember there is a 1 marks question sometime asked here, the graph between E and R square. E electric field magnitude and R square, they are inversely proportional to each other. Graph is a parabolic shape. Okay, so graph between E and R square, it must be remembered. Now if we plot a graph between E and 1 upon R square, it is a straight line because E is directly proportional to 1 upon R square. So the electric field due to a point charge has spherical symmetry. If Q is greater than 0, then electric field is radially outward. Means because force is acting in the outward direction, so electric field has the same direction, the direction of force acting on test charge. If Q is less than 0, means negative charge, the field is radially inward direction. Now one thing already we discussed in the last video, I discussed the superposition principle that is applied on the Coulomb's law. Same superposition principle holds good for electric field also. That means if we have to calculate the electric field at a certain point due to large number of charges, then the total electric field at a point is equal to the vector sum of electric fields due to all the individual charges. So that is the principle of superposition. Here again we have to obey the vector algebra whenever we have to calculate the electric field due to system of point charges. We have to discuss later on and also its application numericals. Before that, let's discuss about the electric field lines. Now field lines are usually used to represent the direction of electric field. Theoretically, it is defined as the imaginary straight or curved path along which a unit positive test charge is supposed to move when it is free to do so. It means if the charge would move, it would move along a path, and that path may be curved or that path may be straight, and that path is called electric field lines. It is also called electric lines of force. Electric field lines do not physically exist, but they represent real situations. It means they are only imaginary around the charge, but they practically represent the real situations. So electric field lines just shown as, it may be a straight line. If it is a straight line, that is shows the direction of electric field, but if it lines are curved at the point, the tangent to the curved line represent the direction of electric field at that point. Okay. Next, electric lines of force due to a point charge. That is one of the important topic in CBSE class 12. Diagrammatical part, that question will be asked to represent or to draw the electric field lines due to point charge, due to system of 2 point charges, and so on. So let's discuss. First, if there is a charge is positive charge Q greater than 0, then the field lines are radially outward. Already I discussed for that, radially outward. These field lines are moving outward direction if the charge is positive charge. If charge is negative charge, the field lines, straight lines shown in the inward direction. Okay. Then if there are system of two equal and unlike charges, that is also called dipole. We have to discuss in the next topic. Then it means there is a one positive charge, other is a negative charge, both are placed near to each other, that is from the system called dipole. Then the field lines are shown like this. So field lines of positive charge are going outward, negative charge going inward, but when they place nearby, these field lines nearby, they contract longitudinally. That is one of the property of field lines also, and that shows the positive and negative charges, they attract each other. Now if at a certain point we have to show the direction, as there is a curved line, so tangent at that point gives the direction of electric field. So here is electric lines of force contract lengthwise or longitudinally, and that gives that two unlike charges attract each other. Now if there is a pair of equal and like charges, say both are positive or either both are negative. So in this case we take the both are positive charges. The field lines, they are moving outward direction. Now here these field lines, because the same direction positive charges are there, they exert lateral pressure on each other. So electric lines of force exert lateral pressure to represent repulsion between two like charges. Next, electric lines of force due to uniform field. If there is a region, we have to represent uniform electric field, that will be represented by straight line, equally spaced straight lines that represent uniform electric field. Next, properties of electric lines of force or electric field lines. So we will discuss the one by one. First property, electric field lines are imaginary lines. Second, a unit positive charge placed in electric field tends to follow a path along the field line if it is free to do. So इसको हमने इसकी definition में भी हमने discuss किया है. Third point, the electric lines of force emanate from positive charge and terminate from negative charge. It means it emerges from positive charge and ends at negative charge, and they do not form the closed loops. Next point, the tangent to an electric field lines at any point gives the direction of electric field. Already discussed, if the curved line is there, then the tangent at that point gives the direction of electric field. Now two electric lines of force never cross each other. This is one of the important property, can be asked in 1 marks. Why the two lines, electric field lines, never intersect each other? Because if they do so, then at the point of intersection, there will be two direction of electric field. If we saw the two lines intersect, then this is the point of intersection. There will be two directions, say E1 and E2, and which is not possible. So that is the reason, because electric field is a vector quantity, magnitude must be same, but it gives the two direction which is not possible. So that is the reason why the two field lines never intersect each other. Next, electric lines of force are closer where the electric field is stronger, and lines spread out where electric field is weaker. Meaning the spacing between the field lines gives the idea about the strength of electric field in that region. So if we see here, if the plus Q charge, field lines are very close, it means it is a larger charge, amount charge, and the field lines, electric field is a very strong field. And there is a weaker charge and electric field lines are separately, they are, so it means that represent there is a weaker field, electric field is the result. So spacing between the field lines, it gives us idea about the strength of field. Next, the field lines are perpendicular to the surface of positively or negatively charged body. So if there is a positively charged body, the field lines are outward direction. If it is a negatively charged body, it is inward direction, but it is always perpendicular to the surface. Either surface is a regular surface or either it is a irregular surface. Electric field lines are always perpendicular to a point at any surface. Already discussed this property. Electric lines of force contract lengthwise because that gives the attraction between the two unlike charges. Similarly, electric field lines exert lateral pressure to represent repulsion between two field lines. So that is the properties of field lines. There are some other properties. Let's the number of lines per unit cross-sectional area perpendicular to the field lines, that is also called density of lines of force, is directly proportional to the magnitude of intensity of electric field in that region. It means already electric field basic definition, when we discuss that number of field lines crossing, that is also called electric flux. So field lines crossing per unit cross-sectional area perpendicular, that is directly proportional to the magnitude of intensity of electric field in that region. So that is dN on dA, and dN is the taken as number of field lines crossing per unit area proportional to electric field intensity. Electric field lines do not pass through a conductor, hence the interior of conductor is free from influence of electric field. So that's also we have to discuss in the next chapter also, that whenever field lines passing any conductor is placed inside the field lines never cross the conductor. That means net electric field inside a conductor is always equal to 0, but outside it passes perpendicularly. That's also called electrostatic shielding. Okay, just like whenever lightning is there, it is very safe to be inside a car, because car is acting as an electrostatic shielding, and in which electric field is not passed. Electric lines of force can pass through an insulator. Okay, it does not pass through conductor, but it can pass through insulator. Then next come to the topic, what is electric dipole? Electric dipole is a pair of equal and opposite charges separated by a very small distance. The electric field produced by a dipole is called dipole field. Another term is there, electric dipole moment. That is a vector quantity that is used to measure the strength of an electric dipole. So if we take, there is a minus q charge and plus q charge, and r is the distance, but in simplification we take either 2L, or in some books it may be also taken as 2A sometimes. So L or A you can take anything. So 2L, that is called dipole length, and Q is the magnitude of charge, P is the direction, that always from minus Q to plus Q, that is called electric dipole moment. That is one of the physical quantity important related to the dipole. So it is Q into 2L, length of dipole, and I is the direction given along in which direction we measure the length. So length is measured from minus Q to plus Q. That's why P, direction of P is always from minus Q to plus Q, because Q is a scalar. The magnitude of electric dipole moment is product of magnitude of either charge and distance between the two charges. That is also called dipole length. The direction is always from negative to positive charge. If we calculate as SI unit, that is coulomb meter. Charge unit is coulomb, length unit is meter. Coulomb meter is the SI unit. An ideal dipole is the dipole. This point will be noted, that ideal dipole is a dipole in which charge becomes larger and larger and the separation becomes smaller and smaller. It means that is also called dipole or short dipole, because sometimes we can say the distance is very small between the two dipoles. That is called ideal dipole. Now, how to calculate the electric field intensity due to an electric dipole? So there are two cases mainly. One is at a point on axial line. If minus q plus q charge, we represent the dipole. 2a we taken here as the total length of the dipole. So we take a is the distance from the center of dipole of each individual charges, minus q and plus q. Now this line passing through axis, line joining the axis of charges along this side or along this side, that's called axial line. So on the axial line, let me take a point P at a distance r from the center of dipole. So at the point P, in order to determine the direction of total electric field, we have to represent the direction of electric field due to minus q charge, which is placed at point A. So I represent it as EA, because the negative charge, the field lines is radially inward direction, means towards the charge, and due to plus charge at point the EB, that is outward direction. So EA and EB, these represent the electric field due to minus q and plus q charges at point P. Now these two fields are in opposite direction. So naturally we have to check their magnitudes, and when the two vectors are in opposite direction, resultant is always larger vector minus smaller vector. So that is here, let's check, we check the EB is larger in magnitude as compared to EA. How? Let's check their magnitude. First, let's we check their magnitudes. So if we write total electric field at point P is EB minus EA, because EB is greater than EA. Now how? Let's EA is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R plus A, because this distance is A and this distance is R, so R plus A whole square. I cap represent the direction, and EB magnitude, EB vector, that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R minus A whole square I cap. If we calculate their magnitudes, unit vector is removed, only magnitudes is, now from here you can check here, there is R plus A and here is R minus A in the denominator, so naturally EB is larger than EA, so EP is equal to EB minus EA. So just we put the values. So E magnitude is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R minus A whole square minus Q upon R plus A whole square. If we take the LCM here, it is R square minus A square whole square, and if we solve it, we get 2 into Q into 2A into R. And Q into 2A is nothing, it is electric dipole moment. So we can write its magnitude is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2P. Here is this term becomes P R divided by R square minus A square complete whole square. So this is the magnitude of electric field due to a dipole on axial line. In vector form, we can write it as a vector form 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2PR upon R square minus A square whole square I cap. And that shows that the direct net electric field is also acting along the direction of EB, because it's EB minus EA. So that is outward direction, and that is in the same direction as the direction of electric dipole moment. It means E and P both are in same direction. There is one special case, sometimes it's asked, if A is very small as compared to R, means the distance between the dipole, that is called dipole length, is very small as compared to the R. That is also called short dipole. In that case, we take R square minus A square is approximately equal to R square, and we put the value, we get the E approximately due to this short dipole comes out to be 2P divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R cube. So direction of electric field intensity at a point on axial line due to dipole is always along the direction of dipole moment. That means E and P are in same direction. So this is the one of the important article, that to determine the electric field due to dipole on axial line. And this formula you must memorize for also numerical purpose. Second, if we can calculate the electric field due to dipole on equatorial line. Equatorial line is the line perpendicular to the axis of the dipole. This line is perpendicular. So we take the point Q on the equatorial line at a distance R. Again we take the same dipole, P is electric dipole moment. This distance, let me take theta is the angle made by this. Again we have to show the direction of electric field. Electric field due to minus Q charge at point Q is towards the charge, and due to the plus charge is it outward charge. So net resultant electric field is due to the vector sum of EA and EB. So if we use a vector sum, here is a parallelogram law or vector addition we have to use, and this gives the EQ, that is gives the total electric field due to this dipole at point Q. So let's calculate the magnitude. Now this angle you can check is a theta, this is same angle theta here, and this theta, this is also theta. So resultant electric field at point Q is nothing, we can check the components of EA and EB along this direction, along the diagonal. If we check what is the component, it is EA cos theta, and here's component EB, component EB cos theta. Along this direction there is a component cosine components, and along the perpendicular direction there is a sine component, and both sine component are in opposite direction but of equal magnitude, because EA and EB magnitudes are same, because both are magnitude of charge is Q and distance is also same. So they are both magnitude same, but in different direction, but cosine components, they are in opposite direction, they cancel each other, only we get the cosine components. So if we write the vectors EA and EB, so EA is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square plus a square I cap, and 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square I cap. That gives the direction. So magnitude you can write, it's better to write the magnitudes, that's very simple. So it's here is also just shown that theta is angle, so we can calculate by using the law of parallelogram vector addition, but simplest is that we can calculate by the component method. So we check the components of both EA and EB. So EA cos theta plus EB cos theta, that gives the resultant electric field due to dipole on at a point Q. So net resultant, here EA sin theta and EB sin theta both cancel each other. Okay, so it means resultant electric field is equal to EA cos theta plus EB cos theta. Now, EA and EB both are same magnitude, so you can write directly 2EA cos theta. So 2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square plus a square, that is the value of EA into cos theta. Now cos theta in this triangle AOQ, you can calculate cos theta. It is A upon this value, that is AQ. You can calculate is a r square plus a square root, and that is the cos theta value. So you can put this value and calculate it. So E comes out to be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q into 2a divided by r square plus a square, power 1 here, power here half power, to 1 plus half is 3 by 2. So q into 2a, that is p. So E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p upon r square plus a square, power 3 by 2. So that is the electric field due to dipole on at a point lies on equatorial line. In vectors form, E can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p upon r square plus a square. A square is here 3 by 2 minus I cap. Minus I cap means that it shows the direction of net electric field due to dipole is opposite to the direction of electric dipole moment. They are in opposite direction. In case of axial line, they are in the same direction, but in case of equatorial line, they are in opposite direction. Okay. So here is only okay. So again, for short dipole, if it is very small, then you can check r square plus a square is approximately taken to r square. So square cancel, r cube we get. So magnitude p upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. Or for short dipole, if we can relate these two results, you can check for short dipole, E on axial is always equal to 2 times E on equatorial. Sometimes this result will be asked in the CBSE. Show that for short dipole, electric field due to dipole on axial line is equal to 2 times the electric field dipole on equatorial line. So already we calculated the on axial line. Here is the value equatorial line. Equatorial line we get p upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. On axial line it is 2p upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. So that is 2 times the electric field on equatorial line. So memorize this relation for examination point of view also. Next topic is how to calculate the torque on electric dipole in a uniform electric field. If an electric dipole is placed in uniform electric field, say E is the field lines represent minus q plus q, we take the dipole that is placed in the electric field lines E. Now force is acting on minus q and plus q charges. Minus q opposite to the electric field lines and plus q forces along the direction of electric field lines. And these two forces are equal in magnitude, acting at two different ends of the same line, and these two forces form the couple, and that such couple force always produce torque. So how to determine the torque? The simplest formula is torque is equal to electric force magnitude into perpendicular distance between the two forces. So here we take this is the perpendicular distance. So in this diagram, in triangle, this you can calculate the perpendicular distance d, that is equal to, can calculate it, what is perpendicular distance, that is a force is QE and perpendicular distance is 2L sin theta, because you can check it is divided, this angle is we take theta is the angle between electric field and electric dipole moment. So if we take in this triangle perpendicular distance divided by the hypotenuse 2L, so we get that is equal to sin theta. So perpendicular distance you can easily calculate, it is a 2L sin theta. So torque is equal to Q E 2L sin theta. Q into 2L is P, so we can P E sin theta. Okay. In vector form, it is written tau vector is equal to P cross E. Direction of torque is perpendicular to the plane containing P and E vector. SI unit of torque, because it's the product of force and distance, so we can simply, it's the torque is Newton meter. Now there are certain special cases also there. If theta is 0, then torque is equal to 0. Means E and P are in same direction, then torque is 0. This is also called stable equilibrium condition. Remember, this condition is called stable equilibrium condition. When theta is 90 degree, then torque is maximum. Maximum value is P into E. And if theta is 180 degree, then torque is again 0. But in this case, P and E both are in opposite direction, 180 degree, and that is called unstable equilibrium. So remember, sometimes the examination, that question is asked, what is stable equilibrium condition? When theta is 0. In case of dipole placed in the uniform electric field, in that case torque is 0. And unstable equilibrium, again torque is 0, but angle theta is 180 degree. Okay, so that will be the last topic today we have discussed. Thank you.